If you're receiving Social Security right now, or you're counting on it in the next few years, what I'm about to tell you could directly affect how much money you actually get to keep. A recent Supreme Court decision just opened the door to something most Americans have no idea is coming. And honestly, the government isn't exactly rushing to tell you about it. In fact, thousands of retirees might lose thousands of dollars because they didn't know this was even possible. So before you scroll past this, you need to watch this entire video because your future income might literally depend on it. Hit subscribe right now. And I mean right now. This is the kind of information that changes fast. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, you could miss an update that costs you real money. We cover these hidden changes in government benefits that nobody's talking about, and you're going to want to be here when things shift. Subscribe now. Look, I'm going to be straight with you. If you don't understand what's about to happen with Social Security, you might make decisions over the next few months that you absolutely regret by next year. And once those decisions are made, they're locked in. You can't go back and fix them. This is the kind of thing where knowing about it 2 weeks early versus 2 weeks late could mean the difference between getting an extra $50,000 or losing it completely. This is too important to miss, so please watch this all the way through. And if you know someone on Social Security or someone planning to retire soon, you're going to want to share this with them because they probably have no clue this is happening. Hey, this is exactly what this channel exists for. We don't cover the news everyone already knows about. We dig into the stuff that's happening behind the scenes. The court rulings, the policy changes, the government decisions that actually impact your wallet but don't make headlines. If you want to stay ahead of these changes instead of getting blindsided by them, this is the place. Okay, let's get straight into this because there's a lot to unpack, and I want to make sure you understand exactly what's changing, who it affects, and what you need to do about it right now. So here's what happened. The Supreme Court recently made a decision about Social Security that fundamentally changes how the government can handle your benefits. Now, this isn't brand new. It happened a few months back, but the implementation is just starting to roll out, which is why most people are still completely in the dark about it. Here's the simple version. The court ruled that the government has more power than previously thought to modify or adjust how people receive their Social Security benefits. Specifically, it opened the door to something called deemed filing changes and how benefit calculations work, especially when you hit certain ages. You might be thinking, okay, so what? The government changes rules all the time. But here's where it gets serious. This ruling gives the Social Security Administration explicit legal cover to recalculate benefits for people already receiving them. This isn't just about new rules going forward. This is about existing benefits potentially being adjusted downward. Think about that for a second. You've been receiving a check every month based on a calculation. You've budgeted around that number. Maybe you've planned your entire retirement around that income. And now, suddenly, the government has a legal pathway to say, yeah, actually, we need to recalculate that. Your new amount is less. For someone receiving $2,000 a month in Social Security, a reduction could mean losing $300, $400, even $500 a month. Over a year, that's $6,000. Over 5 years, that's $30,000. Over a decade, we're talking $60,000 or more in lost income. And if you're already retired, you can't just go back to work to make that up. This is your income. This is how you pay rent, buy groceries, pay for medications. Now you might be wondering, does this affect me specifically? Let me break down who's in the danger zone. If you're between 55 and 75 years old right now, you need to pay close attention. These are the people who are either already receiving benefits or about to file for them in the next 5 to 10 years. This is the window where these changes will hit hardest. Second group, if you took Social Security before your full retirement age, this affects you. The way early claiming benefits are calculated just got a lot more flexible for the government to adjust. You might be receiving what you thought was locked in, but apparently it's not. Third group, if you're married or divorced and you were counting on spousal benefits, this is huge for you. The Supreme Court ruling specifically impacts how spousal and survivor benefits are calculated. A lot of people don't realize that married couples can sometimes receive a higher benefit if they time their claiming right and use something called a restricted application. That loophole? It's in danger. Fourth group, if you're a government employee or you worked for someone who offered a government pension, you need to know about something called the Windfall Elimination Provision, or WEP. This ruling could expand how the government applies WEP, which could reduce your Social Security even more than it already does. And honestly, Even if you don't fit neatly into one of these categories, the ruling is broad enough that almost anyone receiving Social Security could be impacted in some way. Let me explain this a bit more clearly because I want you to understand exactly what's happening underneath this ruling. The Supreme Court decision essentially says that Social Security's current rules around government pension offset and benefit calculations don't violate the law. In other words, the government has the right to reduce benefits based on certain criteria, and they can apply these rules more aggressively than they've been doing. What this means in practical terms is this: the SSA is now emboldened to start auditing and recalculating benefits for people already receiving them. They're looking at things like, number one, whether your initial benefit calculation was actually correct. Turns out thousands of cases had calculation errors, and they were usually in the beneficiary's favor. The government is starting to find these and correct them, which means your check goes down. Number two, your earnings history. If you've earned income in years where you previously hadn't reported it, or if there was confusion about your work history, the SSA can now recalculate your primary insurance amount. That's the official term for your full retirement age benefit. If that goes down, everything else goes down too. Number three, whether you should have claimed spousal benefits or if you should have waited longer. A lot of people claimed benefits at 62 or 65 without realizing that waiting until 70 would have nearly doubled their income. The government is now asking, could we have justified paying you a lower amount? And if they believe the answer is yes, they can implement that retroactively. Number four, the rules around when you can claim and when you can't. Remember that restricted application thing I mentioned, where married couples over full retirement age could claim spousal benefits first and let their own benefit grow? The Supreme Court just made it way easier for the government to restrict who can do that, meaning fewer people qualify. Section 4, Real-World Scenarios. This is happening now. I don't want this to feel theoretical. Let me give you actual examples of what's happening to real people right now. Scenario 1. Susan, age 68. Susan started collecting Social Security at 62. She got $1,800 a month. She's been collecting for 6 years, so she's received about $129,600 total. Well, last month she got a letter from Social Security saying they found an error in her calculation. Turns out, when they recalculated her entire earnings history with the new Supreme Court guidelines, her primary insurance amount, her full retirement benefit, was supposed to be lower than what they initially said. Now, instead of getting $1,800 a month, she's getting $1,550 a month. That's a $250 monthly cut. The government isn't asking for money back for the 6 years of overpayment. At least not yet. But she's looking at losing $3,000 a year in current income. She's already on a fixed income. She's already not working. She's already carved out her budget. And now, she has to cut that. Scenario 2. James and Patricia, married, ages 70 and 68. James and Patricia timed their Social Security claims carefully. James waited until 70 to claim, getting his maximum benefit of $3,100 a month. Patricia claimed her own benefit of $1,900 a month at 66. They were using a strategy where they thought Patricia could eventually claim a spousal benefit on James's record once she turned full retirement age, getting a bit more than her own benefit allowed. Well, the Social Security Administration just notified them that due to the new Supreme Court ruling, Patricia doesn't qualify for a restricted application on James's record. Why? Because their interpretation of the ruling now says that the only people who can do this are those who were already over full retirement age when the law changed in 2015. Patricia was 61 at that time. She's out of luck. She's stuck with her $1,900 benefit when she could have potentially gotten $2,400 if the old rules applied. Over the next 20 years, that's a difference of $120,000. One Supreme Court ruling, no warning. No way to appeal it because it applies to millions of people retroactively. Scenario 3. Michael, age 62, government employee. Michael is a retired government employee. He gets a pension from his 25 years working for the state. Now, he's also eligible for Social Security based on some part-time work he did earlier in his career. He was expecting about $1,200 a month from Social Security to supplement his pension. But here's the thing. There's this rule called the government pension offset. Because Michael gets a government pension, the government actually reduces his Social Security benefits by 2/3 of his pension amount. So if his pension is $2,000 a month and his Social Security would normally be $1,200, They subtract $1,333 from his Social Security benefit, leaving him with basically nothing. Now, the Supreme Court ruling just clarified that they can apply this offset even more strictly than they have been. Some people who thought they'd get at least something from Social Security are finding out they get zero. Michael is one of them, $0. He worked in the private sector too, but the offset wipes it out. These aren't hypothetical stories. These are things that are literally happening to people right now, this month, this year. Section 5. The escalation. Why this matters more than you think. Okay, so you've got people losing hundreds of dollars a month. That sounds bad. But here's why this is actually a much bigger problem than most people realize. First, this is only the beginning. This Supreme Court ruling is just opening the door. The Social Security Administration is now going to use this as justification to expand these audits to millions more beneficiaries. Think about it. If they can legally recalculate one person's benefits, they can do it to everyone. And right now, they're just getting started. Second, once this hits, there's very little you can do to reverse it. Social Security has a very limited appeals process. If they send you a letter saying your benefit has been recalculated, you have limited options to fight it. Most people who try to appeal lose because the SSA just says it's the law. And because the Supreme Court just affirmed the law, well, there's not much to argue about. Third, this could create a domino effect. If your Social Security benefit goes down, that might affect other things. Maybe you qualify for fewer benefits elsewhere. Maybe your Medicare costs go up because Medicare premiums are based on your income. And if SSA counts you as having higher income in previous years, Medicare could try to charge you more. The ripple effects are huge. Fourth, and this is the part that really worries me, the government saves money when they reduce benefits. I'm not trying to be cynical, but the incentive structure now rewards the SSA for finding errors and adjusting benefits downward. There's no equivalent effort to find cases where people are under-benefiting. So if there's an ambiguity in how to calculate your benefit, guess which direction they're going to go. Section 6. What you need to do right now. Practical advice. All right, so what do you actually do about this? Here are the concrete steps you should take this week. Step 1. Get your Social Security statement. Go to ssa.gov. Create a My Social Security account if you don't have one. Look at your complete earnings history. This is important because the government might have gaps or errors in their records. If they do, you need to know about it before they use it to recalculate your benefit. If you spot an error, contact your local Social Security office immediately. Bring documentation, W-2s, tax returns, whatever you have. Don't just call, go in person so there's a paper trail. Step 2, review your benefit calculation carefully. Look at how much you're receiving. If you claimed before full retirement age, understand the reduction that was applied. If you're married or divorced, understand whether you're getting spousal benefits or just your own benefit. The more you understand your current benefit, the faster you'll spot if something changes. Step 3, if you haven't claimed yet, talk to a specialist before you claim. And I don't mean just call Social Security. I mean talk to a financial advisor or a Social Security specialist who understands these new rulings. The timing of when you claim matters more now than ever because the government has more flexibility to change the rules once you claim. Waiting might protect you, claiming might expose you to more risk. Step 4, document everything. If you get a letter from Social Security saying your benefit is being adjusted, save it, scan it, upload it to a cloud drive. Keep all documentation of your correspondence with SSA. If you ever need to fight a benefit reduction, you'll need a clear paper trail. Step 5, get a Social Security statement in writing. Call 1-800-772-1213 or visit your local office and ask for a formal statement of your benefit entitlement. Get it printed on official SSA letterhead. This creates a baseline. If they try to reduce your benefit later, you have proof of what they originally approved. Step 6. Talk to a lawyer if you're facing a significant benefit reduction. And I know that sounds expensive, but if you're losing hundreds of dollars a month, spending $500 to consult a Social Security attorney is cheap. A lot of them work on contingency anyway, meaning they only get paid if they win your appeal. It's worth exploring. Section 7. Spread the word, share trigger. Here's the thing. The people who are going to suffer most from this ruling are the people who don't know it's coming. An 85-year-old grandmother who's completely dependent on her $1,500 monthly Social Security check has no idea that the government just gave themselves permission to reduce that check. A widower who thought his survivor benefits were guaranteed forever doesn't realize they can be recalculated. If you know someone who's retired, someone who's about to retire, someone who gets Social Security, send them this video, seriously. Don't just watch it and move on. Text it to them, email it to them, share it on Facebook. This is the kind of information that could genuinely save someone thousands of dollars. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. For some people, losing $300 a month isn't just an inconvenience. It's the difference between affording rent and not, between buying medications and not, between living independently and moving in with family. You sharing this could be the reason someone finds out about this before the government sends them a recalculation letter. That's powerful. Section 8. What happens if you don't pay attention? I want to paint a picture of what could happen if you ignore this. It's 6 months from now. You get a letter in the mail from Social Security. It has official seals and your Social Security number on it. It says they've reviewed your case and recalculated your benefits. Your check is going to be $300 less per month starting next month. You panic. You call Social Security. You're on hold for 45 minutes. When you finally reach someone, they explain it in jargon you don't fully understand. They say it's the law, refer to the Supreme Court ruling, and tell you that you can appeal if you want. But the deadline is 65 days. You try to appeal. You send in a letter. 3 months later, you get a denial. Your appeal has been reviewed. Our decision stands. Now you're stuck. Your income just went down by $3,600 a year, and you have no way to get it back. Your bills don't go down. Your rent doesn't go down. Your medications don't get cheaper. You just have to figure out how to live on less. Or maybe you make the mistake of claiming Social Security before talking to a specialist. You claim at 62, get your check, think you're done. 2 years later, you get a letter saying the government found an error in your calculation based on the new ruling. Your benefit is being recalculated downward retroactively. They're not taking back what you've already received, but your ongoing check is now smaller, and you've essentially locked yourself into a lower benefit for the rest of your life. That could be 20, 30, or even 40 years of reduced income, all because you didn't know about this ruling in time. That's not being dramatic. That's what's actually happening to people right now. Section 9. The bigger picture. Now, I want to zoom out for a second because this isn't just about money, even though money matters. This is about fairness and transparency. Social Security is something you paid into your entire working life. It's not welfare. It's not charity. It's insurance. You paid premiums. They called them payroll taxes. Now, when you go to collect on that insurance, the government is using a Supreme Court ruling to recalculate what they owe you based on rules that were ambiguous to begin with. And most people don't even know this is happening. There's been no major news alert. There's been no letter from the government explaining the new ruling and what it means. There's just been a quiet shift in how the SSA is administering benefits, and people are finding out because their checks suddenly got smaller. That's wrong, and it's frustrating. But it's also the reality we're living in, which is exactly why you need to be informed. Section 10, Final Actionable Summary. Okay, let me recap everything because I want to make sure you leave this video with concrete knowledge, not just fear. Here's what's happening. The Supreme Court ruled that the government has broad authority to recalculate Social Security benefits under existing law. This has empowered the SSA to audit and reduce benefits for millions of people who are already receiving them. Here's who it affects. Anyone between 55 and 75, anyone who claimed before full retirement age, anyone receiving spousal benefits, anyone with a government pension, basically anyone on Social Security or planning to be on Social Security. Here's what you should do. 1. Get your Social Security statement and check it for errors. 2. Review your benefit calculation so you understand how much you're receiving and why. 3. If you haven't claimed, talk to a specialist before you do. 4. Document everything. Keep records of all SSA correspondence. 5. If you're facing a reduction, consider consulting a Social Security attorney. 6. Share this with people you know who are affected. Here's why it matters. Losing $300 a month might not sound like a lot to someone with a big salary, but if you're retired and that's your income, $300 is huge. It's $3,600 a year. Over a decade, it's $36,000. We're talking about real money that directly impacts your quality of life. Final subscribe CTA, strong, personalized, urgent. Look, this channel exists for people like you. People who are 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. People who are concerned about protecting what's theirs. People who've worked hard their whole lives and want to make sure the government doesn't pull a fast one on them when they're finally supposed to collect on their benefits. The system isn't transparent. These changes don't come with warnings. Rulings happen, policies shift, and most people only find out when their check gets smaller. But if you subscribe to this channel, you don't have to be one of those people caught off guard. We break down these hidden changes. We explain them in plain English. We tell you what to do about them. And we do it before it costs you money. Subscribe right now, not tomorrow, not after you think about it, right now. Because the next ruling, the next policy shift, the next change to benefits could happen any week. And the only way you'll know about it is if you're subscribed to this channel. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and if this video helped you, if it answered a question you had, or made you aware of something important, please like it. Share it with someone you care about. Leave a comment below telling me what questions you have or what other benefits changes you want to understand. Thank you for watching. I'm here to help you stay ahead of these changes so you can protect your future. See you in the next one.